There are 4 great sayings that explain the truth of our existence in one of the greatest spiritual texts in the world. Today, we will explore the first great saying. This is the first episode in a 4-part series on the great sayings that we find in the Upanishads. Now, the 4 great sayings that we find in the Upanishads are called the Mahavakyas. Maha meaning great, Vakyas meaning saying or sentence. And we find these all throughout the Upanishads. Now, when you want to think about the Upanishads, you want to buy the Swami Nikhilananda series on the Upanishads. Now, I know that this is a lot of reading and you might need to set a few years aside, but if you're a true student of the game and you want to know the Upanishads in its true depth, then I highly recommend Swami Nikhilananda's translation. Swami Nikhilananda was pretty much a genius, and I highly recommend anything that is translated by him. He does have a smaller version of this, the Principal Upanishads, but I highly recommend this 4-part series if you're a true, sincere spiritual aspirant and student of the game. And so getting back to the Mahavakyas, we find these all throughout the Upanishads. And there isn't a particular order of the Mahavakyas, but I'll explore each one to its nth degree. Now, the first Mahavakya I want to speak about is Tat Tvam Asi. Now, a lot of people ask me, what is that Sanskrit behind you? It says Tat Tvam Asi, that art thou, or thou art that. And literally it means, like in English, that you are that. Now, we find this in the Chandogya Upanishad. Now, you might be asking, what does that thou art or you are that even mean in the Chandogya Upanishad? Now, obviously, I highly recommend you go and read the Chandogya Upanishad so you get a better understanding, but we'll go through the elements of what it means today. Now, we need to understand 3 main concepts to understand Tat Tvam Asi. Now, I speak about these a lot on the channel, but we need to explain these to get a deeper understanding. So first of all, Jiva, the ego persona system, the identity, that isolated sense of self, is the first concept to understand. The second concept is Atman. Now, Atman means undifferentiated consciousness. Now, a lot of people call this the self with a capital S, not the small self, but the big self that is identified with the ultimate reality. But a better translation is undifferentiated consciousness. So there's no identity behind this. This is where you have become identified with the ultimate reality of existence, which leads into the third concept, which is Brahman. Now, Brahman is the ultimate reality of existence, the fundamental substratum of existence, which is immanent within reality, but also transcends it. You know, we have to give it a name. It's like in Taoism where we have to give it a name, so we call it Tao. Likewise, in Sanskrit, it's called Brahman. Now, Brahman is that undifferentiated consciousness, identical with Atman. Now, the problem in our existence is that we get entangled with the jiva, the ego persona system, the identity. And so we believe that we are this person that we've been trained to become. This is what the socialization process is. So I've been trained to be Jason. I've been trained to be from this particular part of the world, speak this particular language. And it's not that there's anything wrong with that. But the real problem is when you have a belief in that identity. Because once you have a firm belief in that identity, you can cause all sorts of troubles in the world. And you can actually cause a lot of suffering for yourself. But the true nature of all of our existence, according to the first Mahavakya, is you are the Atman. You are that undifferentiated state of consciousness, which is identical with Brahman. So when we translate this as you are that, this is kind of a poor translation in a lot of ways because we need to use the word you, right? And so that again isolates you to this isolated sense of self, this person. So a better way to say it would be you are that minus the you. So there is no you there, but you are that. You are that undifferentiated state of consciousness. You are Atman, which is Brahman. And that's what Tatvamasi is. But you don't want to be arrogant about this, right? I once heard a Neo-Advaita teacher, when one of his disciples asked him, hey, who are you? And he said, I am that. And it came off very arrogant and with a lack of humility. Now, one thing you want to keep on the path always is humility. Now, in the modern day, we find that people are eager to claim that they are one with Brahman, which again is a dead giveaway. When you see someone say, I am that, you instantly know that they are definitely not that. So you want to keep your humility here. That should arise in you. That shouldn't become a statement that you make to other people. These Mahavakyas came to the Rishis. They came naturally to the Rishis, but the Rishis didn't go around the world telling everyone that they are that. It was an internal realization. And that's what will happen to you on the path when you follow these texts and you get deeper and deeper into nididhyasana, so that non-dual meditation on the text that we would say are beyond the stage of enlightenment. And so to get to that stage, you needed to study the Upanishads and start to understand what these 4 Mahavakyas are. So as I said, you don't want to go around and start making a grand statement, because that again is a dead giveaway, and also a lack of humility. And that's a big thing on the path in this day and age, a lack of humility, because New Age spirituality says you just need to claim that you're Brahman. But as soon as you claim you are Brahman, you are not the Brahman. The Upanishads even says, those who know the Brahman do not know the Brahman. Those who do not know the Brahman know the Brahman. Now that's a really good takeaway for everyone listening and watching, because once we make a grand claim that is associated to the ego, the jiva, the persona system, that is struggling for survival, because you're on the path, right? And when you're on the path, these texts begin to suffocate the ego. So the ego begins to slip under the door to make these grand claims that, hey, I am that. Please don't suffocate me anymore. I am that. But as soon as it makes that statement, you need to drown it more into the knowledge of the 4 Mahavakyas, the Upanishads and the Nididhyasana texts. So that's really what Tatvamasi is. You are that without the you. And you've always been that. You've always been that undifferentiated consciousness of Atman, but you've bought into the illusion that you are this jiva, this persona system. But you are ultimately and verily the true nature of the ultimate reality of Brahman. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.